Court Reporter with Stovall and Associates.
Welcome back to Court Reporter. Our guest tonight, Congressman Horsford. Before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about the VA and specifically veterans and their needs. One of the things I know that has come to the attention of everybody on the federal level and also in the state of Nevada is the people that are veterans that have certain benefits being afforded to them due to their service are having a hard time obtaining those benefits. Right. Is that something that you're addressing today with the?
We are, and it's a huge concern. Veterans are waiting, some of them more than 600 days to get a determination on a claim for benefits under the VA. Our regional office is run out of Reno, which is one of the worst in the country, and so our entire Nevada delegation has sent a letter and is working now with Secretary Shinseki, the head of the VA, to come up with a new process to help expedite and really provide a presumptive eligibility for those that are pending so that we can get through this backlog. The Secretary has issued a new directive to help move these things along. It never should have gotten as bad as it did, and we will continue to work until...
How long has this been a problem?
It's been a problem for many years, apparently, not just in Reno, but throughout the country. But what's happened is, with the new veterans coming out from Iraq and Afghanistan, with the determination by the VA for the Agent Orange and some other determinations, the backlog has increased, and it's all a paper process at the VA. They're moving to an electronic process, but currently it's all paper, and so it's a slow process, and it's unacceptable that men and women who have fought for our freedoms, now have to come back and fight to get their benefits that they're entitled to. And as a member of Congress, I'm working, with my colleagues to make sure that we break through this backlog.
We recently had a veterans hospital, quite large one, open out north of the Las Vegas area.
In District 4?
District 4, that's right. I know due to some of the work that I do with veterans groups that although the facility is wonderful, there has been a common complaint of the transportation element of getting to that point. Do we have anything in place for veterans that we're going to be able to get them to their healthcare providers on an easier basis? It
is a big problem, transportation of our veterans to their medical providers. The VA hospital, which is the first hospital to be built in the country in 17 years, is helping that. Wow. But because of where it's located in the far north end of North Las Vegas, a lot of veterans simply do not have transportation. Earlier this week, I actually took a bus ride in my Clark County portion of my district and took the route out to the VA hospital so that I could see firsthand what our veterans are dealing with. And I met with veterans who are in wheelchairs, who are amputees, who that was their only form of transportation. Now, there is a grant that has been secured for them to have that bus route, and we've got to fight to keep that funding in place. But we also need other forms. We need paratransit, because some of them really can't be in a bus. They need to have medical transportation, and so we're working on that. That's something that the veterans here in Pahrump talked to me about as well. The DAV, which is one of the veteran service organizations that are approved to provide transportation, they do a great job, but they need more services. And many of the people who are providing this transportation, by the way, do so voluntarily. They don't get paid. And so we got to figure out some incentives and other things that help thank these individuals that are providing so many vital services to our veterans to even get to their medical appointments.
A large constituency of the veterans are also seniors in this county. Have you been made aware of some of the issues that we have as far as the senior community in the rurals? Obviously, like you said, high unemployment would also lead to seniors that have a very limited budget, and in fact, a lot of the social services that are available in larger metropolitan areas that really aren't available to seniors in rural counties.
And key point here, and this is why rural communities are so vital and why we as elected leaders need to address their needs. You know, right now there's the VA clinic here that's in a leased space. We're working on trying to get a permanent new building constructed. Because these are services that should be provided here in the local community. People shouldn't have to drive 200 miles from Pahrump to go to the VA hospital unless they're going there for a surgery or that's the only place they can get treated. We want to provide those services within or closer to the rural community so that they can access them directly. I was talking to one of our senior veterans today. He lives on $984, he and his wife. And so when you're talking about making ends meet and whether or not, you know, you're going to be able to afford, you know, prescription, the rent, utility bills, you know, people are really struggling to get by, and transportation costs, gas prices, all of that affects whether or not some of our veterans can even access these services. And you know, the more they help inform me of those needs, my job is to go back and make sure that these federal agencies are meeting those needs.
Switch gears a little bit. On the federal level, you actually serve on the Committee for Oversight and Government Reform. You also have appeared on quite a few different national media outlets speaking about this recent targeting of the Internal Revenue Service of 501c4s. Can you speak to a little bit about what you saw in committee and also how certain media groups have been trying to create the bridge between these IRS agents acting on behalf of, say, an interest of the White House?
Well, I am a member of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, and so anytime there is an investigation or audit of any federal agency or program or personnel, our committee is called to conduct these hearings so that the public can you know, be involved and we can get a determination. Let me say what happened with the IRS is completely unacceptable. It's wrong. It's wrong when they targeted the NAACP years ago. It's wrong when they've targeted groups like Greenpeace, and it's wrong now when they target groups like Tea Party or conservatives. It's not what they are there for. What we found in the hearing that was conducted, and we're continuing to do this investigation so it's not complete, but there was an Inspector General's report that determined that there were rogue employees working out of a Cincinnati office of the IRS who performed these policies with these conservative 501c4 groups. After they were told by their supervisors at that Cincinnati office to stop, they continued. And so that's wrong, and people should be held accountable, disciplined, and terminated if necessary. As you know, the White House accepted the resignation of the IRS commissioner. They've appointed a new commissioner, and that commissioner has been tasked with coming up with a plan for how this is going to get cleaned up within 30 days. Our committee will be receiving that plan so that we can ensure, again, that this never happens again.
Is this going to be a one-off problem, being that it seemed that this last election cycle that these 501c4s they come into a gray area? Mm-hmm. Is this just a product specifically of these political action committees using an entity within the IRS? And have you guys had any type of discussion about how to close this loophole?
Well, I actually signed on and will be co-sponsoring legislation to direct the IRS to change their reg to align with the federal statute. The federal statute actually says that organizations must, under 501c4, must be formed exclusively for social good and welfare. And that's the reason that they should be determined tax exempt. For whatever reason, the IRS implemented a policy of primary, not exclusive. So I'm co-sponsoring legislation with other members of the Oversight Committee to direct the IRS to change their reg to go back to the federal law, which is exclusive, and that should help clear up some of the ambiguity that led to this problem in the first place.
We'll be right back with Congressman Horsford.
Court reporter with Stovall and Associates.